Now that you've won the nomination for the presidency, congratulations. Now it's time to party. Woo! Step 3 is the National Convention. Each political party holds a meeting of all those delegates who got to vote within each state within the primary system, and even the territories, Washington, Guam, Midway. They all send representatives to officially nominate the presidential candidate of that party. Just like other conventions you might hear of, like the Comic-Con, it's a group of people of similar interests. Republicans show up at the Republican Party to celebrate their beliefs, their ideas, and their candidate for president and also for Congress and other elections. Similarly, Democrats show up to support Democrats, to support their nominee, to stand up for their beliefs. At the convention, officially, each party establishes a platform. Think, a platform is something you stand on, and the platform for each party is where they stand on the most important issues: defense, economics, foreign policy, social issues, so on and so forth. It is usually at the convention when the candidate announces their running mate. Is this somebody to go jogging with? No. I mean, they can go jogging with them, but we're talking about the nominee for vice president. One of the first most important decision that the presidential nominee for each party gets is to choose their vice president. The vice president isn't chosen by the parties. The candidate, the president, chooses their vice president. And this is usually right before the convention. What goes into choosing a vice president? Well, it could be the state that they're from. Let's say if candidate A really feels that they need to win Florida in the Electoral College, and there's a popular senator from their party from Florida, well, they might choose that senator to try to bring Florida, tip the scale for Florida so they can win it. Or you might see a vice president serve as a yin to the presidential candidate's yang. What is an area of weakness for the presidential candidate? They'll try to balance that out with the vice presidential candidate. So, for example, our current president, Barack Obama, when he ran, one of the criticisms of him was that he was too young and inexperienced. So his vice presidential candidate, Joe Biden, was very experienced and older. So trying to bring balance to the ticket. During the course of the convention, there's lots of partying, lots of speeches given. The running mate, the vice presidential candidate, delivers a speech. The presidential candidate delivers a speech. All these are designed to set the agenda for the administration, to start the general election campaign. No longer are Republicans fighting Republicans or Democrats fighting Democrats. Now it's Republicans fighting Democrats. Now it's both parties are focusing their attention on one another. So if you look here, you can see a montage, a collection of different pictures from conventions past. You can see both candidates delivering speeches before giant crowds. You can see them standing with their respective vice presidential candidates, trying to once again bring strength to the ticket. Well, now that you are the official nominee, now that all of the nomination process is behind you, the time has come for the nitty-gritty campaigning, the national campaign. From the summer through the fall up until November, when the presidential election is held, it is a non-stop experience. You are working 24/7, going from state to state to state to state, speaking all over the place. Nominees from each party go throughout the country to try to get the support of the general population. However, they usually focus their attention on key swing states. When we look at the Electoral College, you'll see that these swing states that can swing Democratic or Republican, that aren't, as we say, solid blue states or solid Democratic states or solid red states, solid Republican states. These more purple states, states that can go either way, That's where they're going to focus their attention. If you win the swing states, generally you'll win the election. So don't be surprised if in 2016, if you see both the Democratic and Republican candidates holding dozens and dozens of rallies in states like Ohio and Florida. They'll buy a lot of commercial time, ad time, not just on TV, on the internet, on Facebook, on Twitter. They will try to make it that their face, their message, their brand is all over. Lots of polling is done by both candidates to see if what they're talking about is popular, if it's getting traction. Remember, they're trying to get the majority of the people to support them, so they're going to keep using statistics and data and polling to get that done. And last but not least, about in the last month before the election, we see both candidates meet and debate. Typically, presidential candidates will meet for 3 debates, and the vice presidential candidates will meet for 1 debate. These often can be very contentious and can turn a very tight election. Most likely, for example, Ronald Reagan won the presidency in 1980 based on his debate performance. If we look at earlier, we talked about Kennedy and Nixon, how Kennedy most likely won a very narrow election, presidential election, based on his performance in the debates. So, just a few images of our current president on the campaign trail. Here we see President Obama in one of many, 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 many ads that were airing in 2012. If you lived in Ohio or Florida or Michigan, you couldn't help Pennsylvania. Every time you turned on the TV, every commercial break, he was there. But also, negative ads were there. Remember, there's going to be uplifting, positive messages. I'm the right candidate for you. And there's going to be a lot of negative ads. This person is terrible, horrible. They're the worst possible candidate in the world. So you're going to see both sides of that. Both candidates will be trying to uplift themselves and push down one another. They're going to be having lots of big rallies. If you look closely behind President Obama, you'll see that is the flag of the state of Florida behind him. President Obama in 2012, in October, spoke almost 10 times to large rallies in the state of Florida, trying to make sure he had that support. Similarly for Ohio, 2 of the most important key states. And no, they're not singing a duet. That's Governor Romney and President Obama engaged in a debate, one of 3 debates that they had leading up to the election. So, let's wrap up this lesson. And I want you to just think on and talk to me about what is a swing state? And why do you think presidential campaigns focus so much attention on them? Why are they so important in the presidential election process? That wraps up Lesson 2. Thank you for your patience. I hope you found it enlightening. Good luck in getting your work done, and I'll meet you next time for Lesson 3.